Today, India presented its union budget for 2026. The headlines are screaming, Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. The narrative is all about indigenous manufacturing, make in India, and reducing imports. But if you look past the headlines and dig into the capital outlay, the biggest silent winner of India's defense hike isn't just in New Delhi, it's in Washington, D.C. Why? Because India's path to self-reliance ironically runs directly through American technology. In this video, we are decoding how India's 2026 defense budget creates a Indo-Pacific Wall that saves the U.S. billions, kills the Russian defense market, and why U.S. defense contractors are celebrating a budget that was supposed to be about Indian independence. For decades, the U.S.-India defense relationship was simple. The U.S. wanted to sell, and India wanted to buy. But India usually bought from Russia because it was cheaper and came with fewer strings attached. The 2026 budget kills that old model. The massive allocation for modernization comes with a condition: technology transfer. India isn't using this money to buy 100 jets off the shelf. It's using it to set up factories. This is where the U.S. wins. American companies like GE Aerospace and General Atomics have pivoted. They aren't just selling hardware, they are licensing the tech. The budget allocation for jet engines? That's going to the GEF 414 deal for the Tejas Mark II. The drone budget? That aligns perfectly with the assembly of MQ-9B Sea Guardians in India. The U.S. realizes that a make-in-India fighter jet with an American engine is strategically better than an Indian jet with a Russian engine. This budget cements that shift. But let's look at the geopolitics. Money is policy, and this budget pours record funds into the Indian Navy. For the United States, this is a dream scenario. The U.S. Navy is currently stretched thin, trying to cover the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, and the Taiwan Strait all at once. They need a deputy in the Indian Ocean. By funding a massive naval expansion, India effectively becomes the net security provider of the Indian Ocean region. Every rupee India spends on securing the Malacca Strait is a dollar the U.S. doesn't have to spend patrolling it. This creates a Indo-Pacific Wall against Chinese expansion without costing the American taxpayer a single cent. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the administration in the White House. With the renewed focus on tariffs and America First economics, India is in a tough spot. Defense spending is India's diplomatic shield. When you are buying billions of dollars worth of American drones, engines, and surveillance tech, it becomes very difficult for Washington to slap heavy tariffs on your exports without hurting their own military-industrial base. This budget creates strategic leverage. India is essentially saying, we will support your defense economy if you keep your markets open for our IT and textile sectors. It's a transaction, and this budget funds India's side of the deal. Finally, the biggest loser of today's budget announcement, Moscow. The capital outlay for 2026 prioritizes next-gen tech, AI, drones, and network systems, areas where Russia is severely lagging behind. Every dollar allocated to these new sectors is a dollar explicitly denied to the Russian military complex. The 2026 budget accelerates the Russian divorce. It forces the Indian military to integrate with NATO standard systems, making it interoperable with the U.S. military in future joint exercises. So, is India becoming a U.S. ally? India is becoming a U.S. partner. There is a difference. This budget funds India's own interests, security against China and industrial growth. But in 2026, India's interests and America's interests happen to overlap almost perfectly. The 2026 defense budget is written in rupees, but its echo is being heard loud and clear in dollars. What do you think? Is this smart diplomacy or a dangerous dependency on U.S. tech? Let me know in the comments.